Kylian Mbappe has been asked about some of the reported unrest behind the scenes at Real Madrid, and this is what he had to say about some of the talk of what's going on. He said, "What do you want me to say? I have nothing to say. In the end, we're top of La Liga and among the top 8 in the Champions League. It's not perfect, but we all know that when things aren't working on the pitch, people talk and talk. But we are united to win every title this year." Jules, we hear that players aren't happy behind the scenes at Real Madrid right now. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, some of them are. I mean, Kylian is happy, obviously. This has become his team and he's been outstanding since the start of the season. I think he's 20 games for club and country and he's on 24 goals and 4 assists, something like that. So it's been an incredible start of the year if you compare to a year ago when he was hitting rock bottom. If you repeat his own words, it's a very, very different picture that we have now. So he's happy. There are, as we know, some players in that dressing room were not too happy because of the game time, because of probably the methods of Xabi Alonso as a coach, which again we've explained a few times on the show. This is not new. We saw that at Bayer Leverkusen. Some players missing because some players were leaving Bayer Leverkusen because they just didn't get on and they just could not work with him. So there's probably a bit of that. He's a strict manager. He can be cold at times, and maybe some players don't react well to this. There's also players who right now maybe don't have the status that they used to have under Carlo Ancelotti last season. If you think about Jude Bellingham, if you think of Vinicius Jr, for example, who again in the Rayo Vallecano game seems to be quite unhappy with some of the decisions that Xabi Alonso took, again, not long after what happened previously for him. So in the Clásico. So there's probably a bit of discontent in some quarters, but as long as they're winning, even if they're not playing great, as long as they're still top of La Liga and very much in contention in the Champions League, I think that will probably paper over the cracks. The problem will be the day they stop winning.
Yeah, we are definitely going to touch on Vinny Jr in this show today, but I just want to talk to you about this report of the players that are unhappy. Is that a problem at Real Madrid, if it's true?
Potentially, yes. Because given we're talking about Vinicius Jr and his importance to this Real Madrid side, and continues to not just be unhappy, but on the face of it, grow unhappier. And that's a concern, especially given how narrow those margins are in La Liga between them and Barcelona, in the Champions League, especially once you go deeper in the competition. To have a player of Vinny's quality, of Vinny's standing within that dressing room, to be as unhappy as he seems to be right now, that continues, that escalates. It becomes a major issue for Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid. I'm not sure how you kind of get this back together, how Xabi Alonso gets this under control, because in such a short space of time, I don't think anybody expected it to escalate to the point that it is. I'm not sure how it resolves itself unless somebody like Kylian Mbappe takes a big leadership role within the dressing room and somehow gets that dust to settle.
I know, or we know that Vini is not happy, but who are these other 4 players? Report. It doesn't get any more vague that 5 Real Madrid players unhappy with Xabi Alonso. Okay. So a new manager comes in. You don't get the same treatment, freedom, or liberties that you had under the old manager, in this case, Carlo Ancelotti. This guy is demanding a little bit more from you or something different from you. You don't quite like it. And now you are, quote unquote, unhappy. That is reality for every team that changes managers. The new one comes in, has a different viewpoint, has a different work methodology, decides to go in a different direction. That direction doesn't put you as a priority. You feel aggrieved. You feel like, wait a minute, but we were winning with me on the field. What are you going to do without me? Well, we're going to keep winning, but with somebody else. Yeah, that doesn't make you happy. Again, this is as vague a report as you can have. And yes, there are going to be unhappy players. That is the case for every team out there in the world playing at a high level when a new manager comes in.
Yeah, we know a few of the names that have been reported, Jules. Obviously, it's saying 5 here. There's Bellingham's been mentioned. We've seen the fact that Fede Valverde's been mentioned. Any other names that have been mentioned?
There's been a few. I mean, Rodrigo is obviously not happy. I think Brahim Diaz is not happy either because of the game time that has disappeared for them. Valverde playing at right back. I think he's very happy to help the team as the club captain. But we know that's not the position he would rather play. So if Trent is available and yet it's still him playing right back, you know he's not going to be too happy with that. He's going to do the job, of course, and he's such an amazing servant to the club. But that probably creates a bit of frustration in him, like the others who would like to play more and are just not giving their chance, for example. So I think, like Ali said, it's inevitable. Every team, every level, not even just the pros, at every level, you're not happy if your manager doesn't play you enough, or if you play you out of position or not where you would rather play in the first place. I think this is inevitable, and I think that's why Xabi Alonso is not too bothered, to be fair, by it. All he thinks of is collective structure, improving this team in possession, out of possession. There's been some changes and improvements compared to last season. We've seen that. It's far from perfect, like Kylian was saying earlier, and like we've seen in games where they were easily beaten, like away at Liverpool recently in the Champions League, for example. So there's still a lot of work to do, and I don't think he can spend too much time focusing on who's happy, who's not happy, who is kind of happy but kind of unhappy, 50-50, 60-40. There's no time for him to do that. So just focus on the next game and try to improve this team collectively.
Now, of course, the main player that's been mentioned is Vinny Jr. And this is what he's had to say about Carlo Ancelotti's impact with Brazil. The Brazil, obviously, national team manager. He said he's giving us confidence, making everyone feel comfortable, taking advantage of each player's best characteristics in their positions. He gives us peace of mind, making the work easier, and everyone enjoys it. Now, Shaka, some people have speculated that this is an indirect message, or maybe a direct message,
I was about to say,
to Xabi Alonso.
I think without question, given what we've heard from Vinicius Jr. since the start of the season, given his unhappiness, which we've discussed, and given his success with Carlo Ancelotti at the helm of Real Madrid, his importance to that success, this is very thinly veiled, and that's put it as nice as I possibly can. And you understand, and you sympathise. Again, given the success with Ancelotti, given his frustration so far this year, he's not shy to make those feelings known.
But Ali, hasn't he just been asked about his former Real Madrid coach, Carlo Ancelotti, and his current Brazil coach, Carlo Ancelotti? You know, he won a lot of things with this coach. Wouldn't he say something like this about Ancelotti?
Well, yes, but I think we may have missed something in the graphic, because I'm pretty sure that right above the start of the quote, it should have said, "Dear Xavi, come on." And then all of it. Look, it is true about Carlo Ancelotti, but it is a message. It absolutely is a message. You don't have to read between the lines. It's right there, and it's telling you exactly like, hey, this guy gives me freedom. This other guy over here, he's taking all the freedom. He's taking all the joy. He's sucking the joy out of life. In fact, I don't want to be around him. I know, by the way, he dares to take me off the field. How dare he? Absolutely, there's a message here that is still very carefully crafted, I would say, and I would suggest, in that I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. I'm merely talking about Carlo Ancelotti. But let me just say, again, we're missing a part that says, "Dear Xavi, come on."
Yeah, missing Xabi's name out again. We've already seen that this season. Now, Mbappe's done so much for Real Madrid since he's arrived, Jules, and so much particularly this season. Could he also play the role of peacemaker here between Xabi and Vinny?
I guess, I don't think that's his role, but I guess he could do it. Of course, anybody could do it. I think you probably look more at Valverde and those kind of characters who've been there a long time, who know the house and the institution that Real Madrid is, really. But do they need a peacemaker for? It's just, I think it's very simple. Again, we go back to change of managers. When somebody arrives with different ideas, different philosophies, different methodologies, like we said earlier, you had a manager in Carlo Ancelotti that was the opposite of being rigid, right? Tactically, especially. Do what you want. Let's play the way you want. It's cool. I'm just going to manage egos and be your friend and dance when we win the Champions League together and smoke my cigar on the bus parade. And this is cool. I'm the coolest guy in the world. Perfect. And then you get Xabi Alonso, the complete opposite. Rigidity, structure, discipline, being strict. This is what we do. This is when the ball is there, this is what we do. When the ball is doing that, this is what we do. This is not what Carlo Ancelotti used to do. And when you're used to Carlo Ancelotti, and when you're Vinicius Junior, who feels like to be happy on the pitch, he needs to have the freedom, not the rigidity, then it's a massive change and a big difference. And I'm just not sure Vinny is a guy that can express his potential and be fulfilled in a very structured environment. And that's the problem here. So then what do? I don't think it's about kind of making peace between Xabi and Vini. It's just, can he play in a structured team like the Xabi Alonso's teams are? Yes or no? If it's yes, great. You can do a great job together. If it's no, just find another club. You still haven't extended your contract.
Jules just mentioned Fede Valverde as potentially a peacemaker. And I can see this conversation happening. Vini going to Fede Valverde and say, Fede, you got to help me out with this guy, man. I don't know what else to do. And Fede Valverde turns to Vini and says, bro, I got my own issues. He's got me playing right back. I don't want to be over there. I got my own issues. Let me sort myself out, then we'll talk about your situation.
Yeah, worry about yourself.
Take a question, okay. I can't see anybody in that dressing room have any kind of calming effect on Vinicius Junior. And I'll keep going back to it. When Vinicius Jr. was at his absolute best, when Real Madrid was winning Champions League a couple of years ago, and he was unquestionably the star player, Real Madrid put him on a pedestal that no one could take him off of. Now that Kylian Mbappe has come in and he's now the star player, he's the last person that Vinicius Jr. is going to be listening to at this point. So I think this is an issue of Real's own making, and I'm not sure that there's anybody who, outside of Carlo Ancelotti, who can fix it.
So are you suggesting that a big-time player that gets pushed off the pedestal by a new incoming player who's a bigger name and a bigger brand and a bigger presence, that hurts some feelings?
Well, much like Vinicius' statement, it's pretty easy to read between those lines.
All right, okay.